Hello, it's Brian once again from Tavaran Games, and I'm going to show you a little more of my progress on Dungeon Maker this week. So I've mostly been working on the campaign map maker and map maker, the encounter map maker, and adding items to that and different tools for the Dungeon Master, so I'm going to show that today. Now, we're going to run out of a build window instead of the editor. We'll make that full screen so you can see it. First thing you'll notice, I've added in the Tavaran Games logo to the start. I've also added outlines to most of the UI items. I just think it looks quite nice, a little crisper, and separates out things nicely. So let's go to campaigns. Let's just make a new one, if I can remember how to type. We'll create one just called Wexney, which was a campaign I ran with my friends ages ago. So let's jump into that. The first thing we can do is hop into the campaign map editor. So what you'll notice is that these are now open up separate menus that show the different things that are in them that can be placed, as well as I've added in that when you hover over, it changes their opacity so you can very clearly see which one you're hovered over, and it adds in the text description to show you at least what I intend that thing to be. So the starting position, we'll pop that down. Now we've got this red dot is the origin that I've just put on the campaign map, which was for before added in starting position. But it just shows where the 0 point is and where players will spawn if you don't have a starting position. Right now, every time they come back to the campaign map, the players should spawn around this starting position area. So I still have to put it in so that when they jump in and out of encounters that they'll move to different locations. But we'll just stick it so that they always spawn back there for now. Now let's add in notes. So you can see this little book. This is a new utility I've added. So we'll place down 2 of those so we can show you what they do. Now, it's just a book right now that only the DM can see. However, if they click on it, you get this text box pops up and we can add in descriptions. We can just type in whatever we want. Sorry, I'm making this up as I go. And my very loud keyboard. Let's say that that's our message. That's something that the DM could write down to know what to say. Now, there is a 150 character limit on this because the notification area where the messages show up for the DM to see can only display that many before the text ends up cut off. So I just put a 150 character limit on this, so you can only put short notes in, but the DM could use point form. Only they'll see this. The players will not see this, so they can use point form to just have a recollection to make a note for themselves. In the other one, because I'm not thinking right, we'll just put in the good old classic hello world. So we click on that, that still says that. We click on the first one, it still has its message. So the messages are nicely saved in. I finally added the eraser tool. Come here, you. It's indiscriminate, it erases whatever the heck it touches, and instantly. But we've erased that note we don't need, but yeah, we can have this one. Kind of not in the best spot here. Let's move the starting position closer. And there, the DM will have a nice little note for the start. So I've got hills and mountains. Now, right now, as with before, when you place a mountain down, it randomizes its sprite. Now, every time it loads, it's going to re-randomize. So whenever you jump back into the campaign map from an encounter, all the mountains will redraw themselves, and they will be newly randomized. So there will be slight changes that the players might notice. If you think that that's a bad idea, I could make it so that each individual mountain sprite is a separate object that you can place. But I figured this was just an easy way to add variety so you can quickly create that. Now let's say there's some low-lying hills here, which I've added in. And then some trees, so we can add a little forest, maybe to the south of the players. They start just to the north of this forest. And yeah, the other thing that's quite new are these icons. So we've got a whole bunch here. Now, a wonderful artist goes by Nico Online made these all open source icons for people to use. So I'm using those in the game for now. I would like to sit down and draw my own icons and get sort of my style of art in the game. I just don't have time for it right now, so I'm using Nico's icons. So thank Nico for making those. Now the other thing, we've got these roads we can place down. Now they do lock to a grid, so that way they will always line up nicely. If you think, oh, I accidentally clicked down there, so we have a stray road. We can actually leave that there. We'll connect back to it. If you think that that's a bad idea and that I should instead do something else. The reason we're getting this is I keep accidentally clicking just outside the road over here as I'm selecting new ones, and the game is interpreting that as me clicking on the map and trying to place it. Oh, here, let's replace one of these roads with a bridge. Oh, right. Sorry, the roads can overlap. You can have more of the same, multiple roads on the same tile. They don't delete each other, so you have to erase them if you want to place a new one. But yeah, I've also got, as you can see, this river. Now, it's kind of static, like it's, again, these straight lines, just to make it nice and easy for things to line up. Do make it so that it's not quite as organic. I'm thinking I'll probably change the shape of it a little bit just to make it look a little more natural, but for now, we're going to work with that shape. I realize I say way too much. But I'm ad-libbing these, so I am not prepared. No script here. Yeah, so let's add in a castle icon since we said we're starting south of the castle. Let's say there's a little hunter's cabin in the woods here. We have a river there, so maybe there's a little pier on the river near the bridge, maybe on this side. Put a little boat there. And we can just add in, these icons, give people places that they can potentially go to. That can guide you. So we can keep this map going. You can keep expanding it, but that's enough for now. So let's go back and let's add in a map. So we had that castle at the start. So let's just create the castle. So we'll drop in same type of thing as before. We have these side menus. We'll talk about these guys in a second, but let's get to drawing this castle. So let's say the players start to the south of the entrance, and we have a big main hall. You know what, let's actually make that wider. I think that's a little too narrow, and we can use our eraser. Now, the walls, they don't refresh their sprite when you're using the eraser at the moment. So that's something that I do have to update. Here, actually, we can quickly, if we do a replacement with these wood walls, we can then fix that. Oh, here I go making a mess. Yeah, so when you erase the walls by individually clicking, they will clean up, but they don't if you erase the walls using the eraser, and that's just a feature I have to add in the near future. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. But yeah, let's say there's a couple side rooms over here. Let's add some columns inside. Colonnaded throne room makes sense for it to have a whole bunch of columns. Let's put some doorways here. Let's have a separate room there. Oop. I do not have a cancel button, so I'm gonna probably have to figure out how to add that. I am dragging my mouse a little too much as I click, which is causing extra placement. Okay, here we go. Let's stop making a mess of things so that you can see all the new features in that. So yeah, we can say we have some rooms there on the side. Let's add a room up here, and let's put the doors there. Okay, now let's add some floors to the inside of the castle. We can have these wooden floors, or we could go with a lighter wood if we'd like. Let's go with this nice lighter wood for these rooms, and then we'll add in a stone floor for the main hall, which I should probably up the contrast between the wall type and the floors, just give them a little bit more difference, but it's not the end of the world. I think it looks kind of nice. Let's add in a pathway outside that the players would have walked up on to get to this castle. Maybe throw in some grass out front. It's got a little yard, whatever. I'll add that. Wall type wise, I've added in these wooden palisades. So let's say that there's... this probably wouldn't be built this way, but just for demonstration purposes to show you sort of the new things, we'll use this wooden palisade wall instead. And then we can go to the doors. So let's say that there's a door in that, door here. There's always going to be lots and lots of doors. All right, so we have some doors. I've also added in these iron gates we'll use in a second. But yeah, let's lock this front door. Okay, so we have that. Now, one fun thing I've added are teleporters. So let's say you want to have multiple floors. So let's say the idea is that there's a trapdoor in the throne room that's going to lead to an underground dungeon. So we can draw in a dungeon. Let's put it over here. There are no layers yet, so the way you would do this now is you draw everything on this flat plane, just with the different floors in different locations. Ideally without sight lines, so the players can't see the different floors. And, oh, that is supposed to be one further. Let's go here. Ugh, I am clicking on the wrong spot so much. So let's build out a little dungeon. Now the dungeon probably has this more natural stone floor. We'll fill that in. I don't really have any prison furniture yet. If we go over to the furniture, I've only added a few things in so far. So we'll worry about actually decorating it at a different time. But yeah, let's add in. So prison's probably going to have these iron bar gates. Now these ones act like normal doors, except they are see-through. The players can look through them as they would be able to for an iron bar door. So that's allowed me to have different types of doors, that some that block light, some that don't. And same thing with the walls. So I've also added in these wooden fences that the players can move through as they'd like just hop a fence, and that they can see over. Whereas these other walls are meant to be too tall to be just jumped over or looked through. So they actually block the player's vision. So yeah, let's furnish this place up. So let's say that this dungeon leads up to here. Now let's make it the same size. So let's say the staircase goes through from there and they go around, end up here. And maybe that's a little barracks where the soldiers are sleeping. Now in the throne room, I haven't put a throne in yet, so we'll just use this wooden chair as our throne for now. We can add in, say make this a dining hall, mess hall, whatever. We can add in some tables. Actually, let's move that door down here so that it doesn't block the chairs. So we can just do that, and let's add the wall back in. And let's add some chairs into the mess hall. So we can rotate the chairs. Actually, you can rotate many of the objects in the game, including the tables and the beds. So for that, let's say, this is another mess hall, or this is the servants' quarters maybe, and they have their beds. Maybe over here is the actual king's throne room or whatever. I don't know. Down here could be a kitchen. I don't have furniture for that yet. And then the other things we have are table decor, or just general decor you can place around. So things like, we've got these little place settings we can pop on the tables. So a little fork, knife, and plate combo there. And then this bottle glasses. So these can overlap. So you can overlap them so that you could have a bottle and some glasses each table. Here, let's put some end tables near the beds in these rooms. And let's say that the characters maybe have their books there. Let's pop some books there, or this little open journal. Maybe this person's got a pile of potion bottles for some reason. Yeah, so I've been adding in decor items. I'm going to add more as I go. I don't have too many. And then we also have wall decorations. Now, these can actually be placed anywhere, but they're meant to be placed on the wall. You can rotate them, and then you can place like one on each side if you want. Oop, we accidentally deleted that one. Clicked on the wrong spot. Yeah, so we can place those. Say there's a string of banners there. And yeah, we can then have those. I'm going to add in like torches and maybe paintings and other things you can put on the walls. Right now I just have these banners, a couple different colors. It would be weird to have those different styles of banners. So let's say behind him, there's that. But okay, we have basically a map. Now we need to link up these staircases and put in the trap door. So let's go back to the utilities. So we have first the regular teleport. This is a two-way. So if we click on it, we end up with an up arrow. That's the starting location, and then a down arrow for the destination. That's just for convention. If you click the down arrow again while you're using utility, you can move it around. If you click the up arrow, it'll delete it. So to change the starting location, you just delete it and start over again. But you can move the down arrow if you accidentally click it in the wrong spot. For this one, if a player steps on either of the ends, they will instantly be transported to the other end, regardless of direction. However, I've also realized for if you want to have a pitfall trap or a trapdoor in that, you need to have a multi-direction or a one-way. So this one is a one-way. You can see we have a red X next on the destination. So if they hit the up arrow, they'll be transported here. But if they step on this arrow, they won't go back. It only goes one direction. So let's actually look, and I've made a little trapdoor icon. Tried to make it kind of subtle, so it'd be kind of visible to the player, but maybe not super key. They might be like, wait, what's that? And then they step on it, and they'll instantly end up down here in this dungeon. So okay, we have a bit of a map and some decorations. We can add a tree or two in the courtyard maybe. Might look kind of nice. We can also add some enemies. Now, I don't have any royal guards or anything added into my personal enemy collection yet. I've been working on adding enemies to it. But we'll just say that the bandits have conquered this castle. So let's place a couple bandits in this room, and maybe the bandit captain is hanging out by the throne. And you can build up your encounter, whatever enemies you want, however many you want that you've added into the game. And yeah, so we have our first map. It's just a little quick one. Let's save that. We go back to the menu. Now, we will, of course, need the way to get to that map. So let's go back to the main campaign map. We click on the encounter maps icon, and there it is, that map we made. So let's stick that by the castle. And that way, again, only the DM will see that, as I mentioned in the previous video. So we'll save that, we'll exit, and let's actually host a game. So we've got our window open here. So let's have this one hosting. So we'll hit host. We'll choose Wexany, and we are now hosting the game. Again, the IP address will pop up for your version of the game. I'm just having it show 0 so you don't get my IP address. And we'll jump in with another game. Let this load up. So let's hit join. Let's pick a character and hit join. Again, if we leave as with the previous video, if we leave the IP address blank, it will default to localhost, so your local area network. So if everyone's on the same network and you're using this more, like you're sitting around a table all with laptops and you're using this as your mapping system, you can just leave this blank. If you're connecting over the internet to friends in other places, you would just have them type in the IP address and hit join. I haven't done any matchmaking service because this game is more meant to be like with known friends, your known party. So you'd be inviting people specifically in. Once I have this potentially on Steam, I might be able to integrate Steam matchmaking, but I don't know how to do that yet. But yeah, so we have a character in. If we go back to the Dungeon Master, they can see that player in and the utilities. So if let's click the note, the DM will, in his little notification window, the note will show up there. So the DM can use this, read it out, or if it's just point form, use it to remember what to say. And then let's say the party decides, oh, yep, they're going to walk north. They see a castle, like, oh yeah, let's check that out. So let's go back. The DM can click. We'll load the castle. For some reason, the start location is bugging out a little bit, and I don't know why. I gotta figure that out. I fixed the other bug I found last week where area attacks will not hit party members for, like, it glitches out, and that was just an issue with the variables syncing the saving throws, and I have fixed that. But yeah, this character can walk around. So they're in this front courtyard. This door gateway is locked. The DM locked that, but they can enter this castle, and we can see we got some bandits, all that. Maybe the DM decides the bandits immediately start attacking, so they take control. He's got a crossbow, fires it out there, and hits our character. So you can see the actual dice roll here. That's the value that was rolled. So that will let you know exactly what was rolled if the Dungeon Master's like, wait, or the character's like, wait, why didn't it hit? What did I actually roll? But in the chat window for all the players to see, it'll just say whether it hit or not. All right, so let's say the player then doesn't notice this trapdoor, goes charging forward, and they end up in a dungeon. See? Now, if I try to go back, I can't. Stuck in this room. So let's go through. Now these gates are locked, but you can see, as I said, with the iron gates, you can see through them as if they are iron bars. So we walk to the prison. We find a staircase and pop up. We're above, so that works. We can go back down if we want. So this works both ways. Anytime we step on that square, we'll go from one end to the other. So we can go into this room. You could do the encounters. We can walk around and explore a little bit. Take a peek. Each room, when you walk through the doors, will update and show you. But yeah, let's say we're done with that. We go back to the campaign map. It loads up. The player ends up here. And yeah, you could then have your other encounters. So that's the update on the map making. Other thing I forgot to mention, I have added an initiative button for the players to roll. And then let's actually exit this. We're going to leave the player in limbo. Other quick changes, if we go to the character editor, The raw skills are now placed in as actual number values because I was realizing there's just too many things in the manual that will like double up your proficiency on one of these. For rogues, they can have their perception proficiency doubled. And so it would just be way too many things to like toggles and clicks to try and figure that out. So now I just type in your numbers and it works just fine. Saving throws are still just regular proficiency. I don't know if I should make those just type in the number as well. But that's a change there. For the enemies, I've been adding a bunch in. I've added in the vulnerabilities because I realized, actually let's return. I still have to have that return to the enemies page. For the skeleton, I realized when I was putting him in, hey, bludgeoning is a vulnerability for them, so that will cause double damage if you happen to trigger a vulnerability, so that's added. And we still have the resistances and the immunities. The saving throws are being done by numbers for them. As well, they now have initiative, their own initiative, that the DM can roll, and it will correctly add to that. So that's been changed for them. The other thing I actually realized, I believe if I go into this, I've got an enemy here. When I was adding in the Ankag enemy from the dungeon manual, they have a line attack. I didn't realize that is an attack type. So I added in a line-based attack type. It will hit things underneath that line. So you can see we hit both the bandit and the bandit captain. If the line is only hitting one, it'll just hit that bandit, and you can see how much damage was done and what type it is. So yeah, the line attack is there. It can be added into the actions. So if we look at the action, whoops, that's the type, sorry. The range type has line added in. And so that's working. But yeah, that's my update for this week. Let me know what you think of how the game's coming along. I'm hoping over the next week or two I can get enough content that I feel happy putting this for early access on Steam and let people start playing with it. I'll also be getting it up onto my Patreon for subscribers to my Patreon soon, in which case you'll be able to download the working builds directly and play around with it. Let me know what you think, and have a good one.